The hotel, of which, following the earthquake, only a portion of the Manchester Street facade remains, known as the Excelsior Hotel, was built on a site where in 1881, to a design by W.B. Armson, a noted architect in Christchurch, noted for his Venetian Gothic and classical designs, and this was one of his really stunning, really well worked classical designs.
The most famous stories that one of them I do remember is that my father had a brother, Hugh, and he and Hugh in their early days, they had this pump-up air gun, which had 1/4-inch round pellets, which they used to make out of a cast them themselves. But their favourite thing was that they all lived, because we were all living above the shop in those days.
For you, why are heritage buildings so important to our landscape? Is there something about them?
I just like the way they look. They've got so much detail and made up of so many tiny pieces. Today, modern architecture is these large, flat expanses. But the closer and closer you get to an old building, the more and more detail comes out until you're down there. We're looking at the pockmarks in the brick. And
I know that I used to, when Dad bought the second-hand camping store, or actually might have been just after he sold it, I worked in there for a bit on like one day a week or something, and a lot of the people used to come in there selling stuff, and they all had those, a lot of them had those sort of handmade sort of amateur tattoos with kiwis and little NZs and dots and cobwebs, and I know that influenced the work quite a bit.
One of the reasons for the importance of the area locally is that Christchurch, of course, was laid out as a very regular grid on a very flat site. There were two things that really modified or gave variety to that grid. One was that the Avon River snaked through the city at all sorts of twists and bends, and the other was that two diagonal roads were built cutting across the grid, what became the line of Victoria Street and Pavanui Road from the Market Square, and High Street from immediately south of the square. And High Street led, of course, immediately to Ferry Road, and they wanted the most direct, fastest route between where the new city was and where the ferry was on across the Heathcote River. So that diagonal cut across the grid, the regular grid of the street, and it created very interesting little pockets of streetscape, because where the street cut across the intersections of other streets, we got these beautiful little triangular sites created, triangular areas of land, but also triangular building sites at the acute angles of the streets. And so instead of sort of regular orthogonal pattern of building there, we had these very interesting little buildings of different shapes and sizes built on those different shaped building lots, and that gave the area, apart from the architectural importance of the individual buildings, a quite unique for Christchurch sort of streetscape in that area.